Good morning and Merry Christmas. December the 25th here in Central Illinois. And it looks to be that Santa Claus has done his good deeds for the evening. I just thought I'd show you a little bit of what I'm up to, a little bit of history, a little bit of trains. Hopefully I won't bore you and we'll have a little bit of fun. But last night I went to a midnight mass. And I heard a number of children that were concerned that that Santa Claus wasn't going to be able to get to them because it was raining. And I pulled the children aside and I said, don't worry about that. Don't worry about Santa Claus not coming. I said, you have to remember, after all, Santa Claus's sleigh is pulled by reindeer. And that made them a lot happier. So I'm assuming they got everything they wished for. But, we were talking earlier on how you're influenced when you're younger. Well, I spent 4 years in Newport, Rhode Island, out on the East Coast. And when I got married, I wanted New England here in Central Illinois. And so in 1977, when I got married, we built this house, this main section that you're seeing here right now, from a company in Boston, Massachusetts called Bow House. They were also called ship bottom houses because it's got a curved roof. It looks like the hull of a ship. And there is an actual house in New England that is built like this, but the bow is not as pronounced. It is bowed, but it's not that pronounced. And so in Thanksgiving Day of 1977, I flew to Boston, Massachusetts. We loaded this whole thing up in a truck, 22-foot Ryder van. And I drove home in a snowstorm over the Appalachian Mountains onto the flatlands. I had 2 breakdowns, and I got right to where we are right now on the Sunday after Thanksgiving. And we proceeded to build this house. And when I got married, I took my wife to Newport, Rhode Island, because I was absolutely enthralled with the East Coast, and I still am. So this is where we set it. We put an addition on 13 years later, and I built it pretty much exactly like I built the main house. But we got the yard. Everything is ready to go here. We've got the leaves blown off. We got them mulched. We've blown the leaves back into the timber. And in March, I will set all this ablaze. And believe you me, it will burn. But it's very beneficial for the wild plants that grow in it, and it kills a lot of the invasive species. My flower bed, I got it all mulched. It's ready for spring. So let's go on inside. Let's see what's cooking in here. And hopefully, since I'm a one-handed paper hanger, it won't be too jiggly. I've got a camera, but I don't like to use the thing. It just doesn't do as good as the cell phone. And here we are. This is, for the most part, how I live. The wife and I built this many, many years ago. Well, many years ago, 47. We put in a real fireplace. This is a real ceramic and brick fireplace. This is not a triple wall stainless steel flue. I can burn coal in this thing. In fact, when we built the house, we built it with the prospects. At that time, we heated with home heating fuel. Those things were getting expensive. And we thought, if we can't afford it, we'll heat with wood. Well, I've got 2 flues, one specifically for the fireplace and the other for the furnace, which I don't even have to use it anymore because I've got an efficiency gas furnace and it vents out the side and we don't even use the flue. But in those days we did. So we had a thimble put on the back side in the lower section. I'll show you in the other room, and I had one put up in the bedroom. So we could put stoves up there if we wanted to. But this is where I spend a lot of time. I was telling you about the pewter the other day and the beer steins. Well, there they are. I think I've drank out of every one of them and enjoyed every bit of it. I think if you don't mind, I'm going to blow these candles out because I really don't want to burn the house down. So if you'll pardon me. I'm windy, so it's easy to blow them out. I've got my sleigh bells on the door. They stay 365 days a year. I like them, so I just leave them. All right, let's see if we can get this stuff blowed out up here. This gentleman's name is Toby Taddale. He's a real person, English, about 1834, I believe. There's one. There's two. All the way to the top of the stairs. In fact, where that mirror is, I used to have a great big tall case grandfather clock that stood there. I brought it downstairs. And the chandelier, which was not easy to hang up. That's a pineapple. But the East Coast had a great influence on me. I like the wide pine boards that they had out there. And then we have another tree. I can never have enough Christmas trees. And of course this one has got bubblers, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't, but I put them on every year. I never get tired of the bubblers. And the music I'm listening to is from a New England string band. I like their Christmas album. Here's something that was always kind of funny. One of these doors goes to the basement. The other two goes to the hallway and the dining room. And I always looked at it like the short story that we had in school, where he had to choose between the doors. Behind one door was the tiger. Behind the other door was the lady. Well, if you choose the wrong door, you fall into the basement in this place. My kitchen, where I do no cooking, for I have no woman. This is the addition. We did the addition exactly like we did the main house. Now let's go upstairs. This is where I spend most of my time. And what I'm doing, where I'm going to show you, is we're going to run everything that's pre-war. It's nice to have storage underneath your layout. So what I've done, guys, is we're going to run, other than two exceptions, everything on here is pre-war. The one exception is this car, and the other one, the Merchant's Dispatch up there. And the reason I'm running it with this stuff is because both of these were created by W.O. Johnson. He created them after the war. He was in the U.S. Navy, and he was a prisoner of war of the Japanese. So it's kind of a tip of the hat to him for what he endured and the joy that he gave later on in his life, at least in the toy train arena. The other thing is this little, I don't know what you call it, sideboard. And this little frog. This is my wife's. I was fortunate to meet the woman. I always felt in my mind I was going to be a successful individual, but I became far more successful and a better human being because of her. That little velvet frog she got as a young girl in Chicago at Marshall Fields. And I don't know where she got the little cabinet at. The other stuff on here, well, I've always liked toys as well as trains. So what we've got there are two whistling tops. They've got a spring in the top of it. Let's just take a look here. And this is patented from 1891 up to about 1907. And you wind them tight, and then, you know how you get a shot? Well, you push down on this, and the top pops down and starts spinning, and they whistle. Now, some of them whistle good, some of them not so much. A great card game, I think that's Milton Bradley from about 1930, and the wife and I used to play that all the time. In fact, we'd play it in the fireplace room with the candles in the fireplace going. It was kind of cool. And the other one, the Aviation Game, is by Parker. I think the Aviation Game is 1930. I think Contact is 1939. And one of the things that I really like is this is a box of dominoes. Now, I don't know if they're all complete, but they're bone in ebony or ebony treated wood. But what I like about it is it was for a little boy's birthday. There's his name. He came from England. And I don't know if that's the second month, the 5th day of 1923, or that's the second day of the 5th month of 23. But anyway you look at it, it's between the two wars. So there's always been a fascination. I have his name, I have his address, and there's some very fine writing here. And I think it says, "Happy birthday from Auntie and Uncle." So it's a very personal piece of a toy. It's nice to actually have something that you can go back and find who they are if you wanted to. So, and then of course I bought this power steam engine. It's electric, made with a company in Michigan that's still in business. They just aren't making steam engines, but this is a pre-war. And the other thing is all the airplanes that I've been going to build with Metalcraft. I have got boxes of this stuff. And there's probably, I'll bet you I've got as many as probably 4 or 5 or 6 airplanes that I could build. Now, they're all listed as the Spirit of St. Louis. That's engraved on the side. And I've got one hanging up here in the layout that I put together. But you can make it into them into a tri-motor, or you can put a biplane. You can even make it with 3 wings. They got all the parts that you need on it. They also made a set of railway cars, and this outfit was out of St. Louis, Missouri. So that's what we've got. Toys. I'd like to say I have toys galore. I do not, but I've always enjoyed it with the toys, with the trains that I've got. The other thing we're going to do is, you know that I don't like passenger trains, and yet I've got a wall full of the doggone things. Well, how can you have Christmas if you can't get the people home for Christmas? So we put passenger service on. We put plenty of passenger service on. But we also have a freight contingent. You got to have freight to get the toys to where they belong. So we're going to do that. Oh, I added a bridge. I don't know how long that's going to be there, because it's really in the road for me when I want to reach over and get stuff like over here, you know. But since we're between the wars, and I always keep the layout on a war footing, I have put 2 soldiers to guard the entrances to the bridge, so we don't have saboteurs or a 5th column sneak in and blow up the supports. Where I live, about 6 miles from here, is a creek called Salt Creek. And there's a pipeline that's there. That pipeline is way older than me. Of course, it's underground until it comes to the creek. Then it comes up out of the ground, crosses the creek, and comes back. And they've got it on a bridge. They've got ladders, and they got a catwalk. And during the war, the Second World War, there was a sentry at that bridge 365 days a year, guarding it so they didn't blow up the gas line. So that's kind of a tip of the hat to those lads on this. So we'll step over here. The other thing I wanted to show you is, if you've never seen American Flyer A.C. Gilbert's 3/16 O gauge. 3/16 O gauge before the war became S gauge after the war. This stuff, when you set it on the track, is absolutely small. And if I were to set it on the 5 rail track, it'd look like HO running on the thing. Even against the 1 gauge, which is not as big as the standard gauge, it looks tiny. So I have spent believe it or not, a number of hours up here trying to make sure that I could run everything at the same time and not have it go off on the floor. So we're going to see what happens. Of course, if it does, you'll never see the video. But we're going to turn on the power unit because we got to have an industrial base to build those toys. So just the noise alone from that will drive you nuts. So I'll try. There we go. Yep, that one already threw a belt. I have a problem with that one. But those hammers and those presses, they're doing the job. All right, let's start with the let's start up here. It doesn't take too much to get these set, so I don't have to worry about them. This is a nice unit. This is a 255 with the red and silver cars, O-gauge. And I love the 8s. I got an 8 set and I got a 10 set. I very seldom run these things. So why not now? I tell you what, that manufacturing plant would drive you crazy after about an hour or two. All right, guys, that's it. A Merry Christmas to everybody. From the deepest part of my black Scottish heart, I declare it to be so. It is true. Merry Christmas, peace on earth, goodwill toward men. Happy New Year. Toodaloo.